What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Thomas Gallery, and today we're going to have a talk about cultural exposure dealing with sports. Okay, now sports is known as the greatest form of a meritocracy. Now, for those who don't know what a meritocracy is, it's pretty much a system of government that is based on one's merit or accomplishments, what you can do. Your work demands a certain amount of credit. Okay, now all cultures and all civilizations, past and present, and I'm sure in the future, have their own form of sports. Okay? Now, sports is usually defined as any activity, whether it be individual or a team, any type of activity, any type of physical or mental strenuous activity. Okay? And all cultures have that. And I think that being an American, being living in the United States of America, with us having our own sports, we have our four major sports. We have our football, basketball, baseball, and hockey, right? But we have there are so many different sports, excuse me, all over the world. You have your football, not American football. You have your actual football, FUTBOL, football, which you call soccer. America, United States calls it soccer, but the world calls it football. I happen to agree with the world. You have boxing is a sport, but you also have different types of boxing. You all know different cultures have their own different version of boxing, which is a form of martial arts. It's a form of fighting. It's martial meaning skill. Sorry, martial meaning war, as in Mars, the god of war. Art meaning skill. So, you know, the art of war, the skill of war. Actually, it's actually what it means. It's a mental thing. They also have sports like cricket and croquet and highlight. You have rugby. You have rowing. Actually, people on the. I'm not gonna lie. There are actually times where I will watch on ESPN and or the other channels too, not just ESPN, but they have rowing competitions. You know how people just sit in a single file in long boats, and they got four people paddling on each side against each other. For some reason, I like watching it. I don't know why. I know when the Olympics were going on. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was these Olympics that just passed or the Olympics 4 years ago. But I call myself watch. It was the Olympics before this one. The Summer Olympics before this one. I found myself watching fencing, and I don't know why, but I was watching fencing, and I was actually into. I was actually excited and intrigued by it, into it, as though I was in. As I was, a fencer. I've also seen some funny sports. I never thought I should be sports. I've been watching the Olympics prior to this one, and they had a trampoline competition. People actually jump on a trampoline and see how high they can go and do tricks in the air. Trampoline jumping, I've never. But they didn't call it trampoline. I forgot what they called it, but it wasn't called trampolining. I don't think. But also they had a power walking. You know how like people see people out on the park, they walk real hard and fast like this, like that. It was an Olympic sport, and I was intrigued because I never thought that actually would make like a Olympic sport about that, but they did. So, and the rules were weird. It's like you couldn't at at, at every point it had to be at least 1 foot on the ground at all times. You couldn't when you're running. at one point both feet leave the ground when you're running or jogging. That was against the rules. And I seen like maybe 3 people get a yellow flag, like a penalty, when the person what they call they would gallop, where they were like a short run where both feet leave the ground. They get a penalty for it, and the people would be walking, and all of a sudden they may make that mistake, and then the referee out of nowhere, I don't know where the referee is, but it pop out of nowhere, put a yellow flag in their face. Like, it blew my mind. Like, they power walking, the stuff that you see people do at the park all the time, power, like maybe old folks, power walking became an Olympic sport. Trampoline jumping became an Olympic sport. I don't know, but I was intrigued though. You have archery. Like, I love archery. I think it's cool. I remember having my little bow and arrow when I was younger and thought I was doing something like Robin Hood and stuff. But archery is a cool one. Then you have like judo, the judo competitions in the Olympics. Love that. Let's see. You know what? I wonder, will they ever make billiards or pool, however you want to call it, an Olympic sport? Because it is a physically strenuous sport. It's also a mental sport. Hmm. Hmm. I just thought that in my head. I wonder, will they ever do that? Because I like to do that. Because I play. In case y'all don't know, I do play. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Hold on. Hold on. See this right here? You see this right here? See that right there? In case y'all don't know, I do get down. And let me tell you, I do this. Just saying. But anyway, I just thought about that. I wonder when they make that an Olympic sport one day. That'd be cool. That'd be real cool to do one day. But just meeting people from different cultures and different countries, everyone has their own form of recreation, or their own sports, and I think it goes far beyond the major sports in America. In the United States, it goes far beyond that. It's bigger than that. You know, you have clay shooting. That's a sport. You have falconry. That's a sport. That's a cool sport too. Shoot. You know, you have boulder throwing. A lot of people don't know about that, but they're thinking I want to say Scotland, where they actually would throw boulders, or they had just log throwing. They run with these huge logs and they toss it in the air. It has to reach a certain distance. Yeah, like, those are cool, but being in the United States, a lot of United States citizens don't get exposed to that. We don't get exposed to those quote unquote odd or strange sports. I won't call them strange because they're not strange. They're not strange to the people who live in there. Shoot, those sports are older than the country United States, so I can't call it strange when the sport itself is older than our country. So, no. But the fact that we as United States citizens are like, you won't see log throwing on ESPN. It was a point in time where you used to see was it log cutting, where they take the axe and the competition where they chop the wood, they chop the tree. That's a sport that I used to see on ESPN some time ago, but I don't see it anymore. You know, they even got a competition frisbee. They got a frisbee competition. You know, that's cool. But there's so many sports that are all over the world, all over the world. So many cultures, so many terms that people may not even heard of. That if you're not really from that particular country or culture, or if you don't take the time to actually see about these other sports and just indulge in your curiosity, you'll never hear about them. You'll never be exposed to them. You'll live in ignorance, thinking that the only sports there are in the world are baseball, football, soccer, hockey, and basketball. But there are so many more sports than those that are in the United States. There's so many more. They say the most popular sport in the world is soccer. The most popular sport, because the majority of people in the world playing, not just people in the United States. There are over 7.5, close to 8 billion people on the planet. The majority of the people on the planet play soccer because anyone can play it. You don't need money to play it. You technically don't need an actual soccer ball. You can get a regular ball, any round object that can bounce, and go outside. That's why it's so popular. You don't need any money to play it. But you need a basketball court to, and when the basketball, well, you still have to go crate or something like that, but you need that to play basketball. You need to go buy a football. I mean, but anybody can get a round object that can bounce and kick it. People play soccer with a basketball. It's a round object that can bounce. So I think just people need to be culturally exposed to different sports, and when that happens, you can open up your eyes to a lot of different things. I do think that, like, there are channels that are doing a good job. Like ESPN has different channels that tap into that. You have ESPN Deportes, we have the Spanish channel. You have the ESPN soccer, where you have like from different countries. Still ESPN based, but different countries. I like that, because they get a chance for people who probably have never heard of something like rugby, never even seen anything about archery or rowing, or we raced the sailboats, the catamaran sailboats, the competition where they never see that. You know, how many people? I don't know many people that actually has seen a fencing match before. I don't know many people who have, and I think channels like that, channels like ESPN, who just show sports 24/7. I think if people just take the time out to indulge in curiosity and say, let me see what other sports they have other than the ones I know already. Let me actually expose myself to some new stuff. Be surprised what you can learn. You know. Well, that's my cultural exposure for today. I will see you all later. You have a good day, and peace.